Well, unfortunately for the Bruins, got to cut to the chase. UCLA drops it 45-30 to Oregon in a college game day atmosphere with everybody having all the nation's eyes on the Bruins. They were manhandled by the Ducks in Eugene in Autzen Stadium. And while they say it never rains in Autzen, well, it certainly did on the Bruins' dream hopes of the college football parade. I'm here to tell you the season certainly is not over, despite all the disappointment. There's no reason the Bruins can't get to where they want to go. They want to get to the Rose Bowl, the Pac-12 title game. They want to do all these things, but still, the dream's not over. Everybody, it's Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. It's Locked On UCLA. Thanks for tuning in today. Today's episode, this recap is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to spice up your college football season. All you have to do is go to the Underdog website, simply choose higher or lower. It's easy to play. It's available in over 30 states. Just pick between 2 to 5 players across any team and choose higher or lower. It's one of the easiest fantasy games to play out there. You can win cold hard cash in a single game. Sign up with the promo code Locked On, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Just go to UnderdogFantasy.com and find the Underdog Fantasy app and use the promo code Locked On to get a $100 deposit for free for up to $100. The Bruins, well, they found themselves on the wrong ends of a dominant performance by the Ducks. UCLA, it seemed in the early going like it got to 10-10. They are playing the Ducks even, and then Oregon goes down, scores a touchdown, and the big, crucial Dan Lanning decision. They went through it, onside kick, and that changed the game. That's not going to say Oregon was going to be stopped if they did not have an onside kick, but they came out, and my keys in that episode when we had the Locked On crossover were one, third down conversions and mistakes. Well, there wasn't technically a mistake. It was Oregon making the play to win the game. UCLA, well, third down conversions, technically 50%. And realistically, that's a lot better than what Oregon's defense had been allowing, and that was a little bit worse than what UCLA's offense had been getting. And even then, it seemed like in every important, crucial third down, the Oregon defense forced them to stop, and it forced Nick Barmira on the field. And it wasn't for a PAT, it was for a field goal. I chose Oregon to lose this game. I saw UCLA 48-42. That was a pretty stupid decision. Looking clear at it, Oregon was a dominant, much better football team playing in front of an energized crowd, and they came out and simply kicked UCLA's butt. While we don't want to really damper the parade, the Bruins are still 6-1, only one loss in the Pac-12 title game, and they still control their destiny to get to the Pac-12 title game. They went out, they're in. Obviously, that's a taller chore than doing, but they still control their own destiny. Oregon was dominant. They had over 262 yards rushing. They were dominant. There's just so many ways you can go with this. Bo Nix was fantastic, throwing the ball over the place. UCLA didn't have those open windows throwing the ball like DTR had, and I know he threw the pick, but that was late, chasing a bunch of points. It just didn't seem like UCLA had the explosiveness. Oregon seemed to be really coached up, whether it was Zach Charbonnet, who still churned out 152 yards. It was a very tough 150 yards. And Oregon defensively made UCLA, especially when they got to the red zone, they pretty much gave what looked to be like a dose of UCLA's medicine. Or maybe the way Oregon fans can look at it is, well, UCLA was just a cheaper carbon copy of what the Ducks had been proving so far since their loss to Georgia. UCLA came in, and it was even onside kick, and then boom, Oregon took off with it and did not look back. It thought, all right, is UCLA going to do something? No. It just seemed like they got a dose of their own medicine, just kind of like that Utah game, except not even that close. Oregon came through, truly throttled the Bruins, and to the Ducks fans, I think I got to apologize. That was a pretty stupid take of mine to say 48-42 Bruins. What do I know? But for UCLA fans, we have to be legitimate with ourselves. It was a fun ride those first 6 weeks. And now the second half of the schedule, it's a dogfight. The dream run, college football playoff, negated. The Rose Bowl, still very much in their grasp. A rematch against Oregon is very much in their grasp, but there still is the tough matchup against SC and very sneaky trap games up against the rest of the Pac-12 schedule, which the Bruins should handle, but still should find themselves in some tougher matchups going forward. Nothing in the Pac-12 gets tougher than playing a good Oregon team in their house in a college game day atmosphere when Lee Corso picks the Ducks and it's all said and done. That is what you're going to face, the toughest atmosphere of all the season. And there's going to be the talks. You see in the comments. You're going to see fraudulent, blah, 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 blah. Just ignore this. We don't really need to talk about the fraudulence of it. The real question and how we'll tell the real test of UCLA is moving forward. Going forward, how do they respond to something like this? You have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's always an enigmatic he's a big personality for the Bruins and loves to chirp the it is what it is. All UCLA fans just wanted to get excited, and now this is a time where UCLA fans want to get down. They were believing, and then boom, punch in the face, punch in the mouth, whatever it is, knockdown. And this is where you find your true standing as a team. And whether you're going to be one of those unbeaten dream teams in the college football playoff, that dream for the most part is dead. But it doesn't mean you can't have a good season. It doesn't mean the Bruins can't even have a great season. But it's showing what it takes to be one of the top 4, top 5 teams in the country. You can ride the wave to the top 9, top 10 in the country, but it just shows Pac-12 is always tough. And when you have to go to the toughest place, UCLA came through and was trying to get their first win in Eugene since 2004, and they just didn't do it. Oregon, in all facets of the game, the defense was able to dominate the Bruins. Those numbers on third down, the Bruins couldn't get those crazy numbers as they did. The Oregon defense really held through, and they dominated offensively. UCLA's defense could not get a stop. Wherever it was running, being thrown to, Oregon was just all over the field and marching down the field consistently offensively with dominant drives, time in, time out, again and again and again. And that's just how it is. And again, for that stupid take, that was pretty stupid. 48-42 Bruins. Well, boy, did they prove me wrong. Got to own up to it. It is what it is. It is what it is. You move forward, right? You move forward for UCLA football. You can look up the good, you can look up the bad, but in the end, it's a college football season, and it's made generally by more than one game. The Bruins 6-1, 3-1 in conference, still unbeaten at home. And what happens next week? Well, hopefully not a paltry crowd in Stanford with homecoming next Saturday night late against the Cardinal. Got to support the Bruins as they can still make the run and get a rematch against Oregon and play on a neutral site. That would be the dream, with still some tougher tests to follow. In the meantime, Oregon really asserted their dominance tonight. Bo Nix looked really good. It was, the highlight for UCLA, Zach Charbonnet. Really good, too. Problem was, they just couldn't get anything going after Oregon really punched them in the mouth. And there's never been a real game this year, as everybody alluded to all season, where they've been punched in the mouth. Oregon was punched in the mouth week 1, and they've been rolling teams, and especially in that fourth quarter against Washington State, to come back and do that. The Bruins, well, they finally got a bit of a dose of their own medicine and saw, all right, can we blow out teams in the second half? No. It's tough to do it against a great opponent like Oregon on the road. So we'll continue to fully recap things as we digest it. Wait a little bit when we come with our Reaction Monday, looking at things in analysis. Basketball's winding up and getting ready to start too for the Bruins. And in the meantime, UCLA, they still got Stanford next week. You'd love to beat up on the Cardinal, but they got to soak it in. It's a nice 24-hour rule, or whenever you're listening to this or watching to this, you got to soak it in. You got to take it. You got to take your looks. You got to take your wounds. And when someone the proverbial punch in the mouth, punch in the gut, how do you respond? And that will be the true testament to Chip Kelly as a coach and for UCLA football, which will define the season next week, these next few weeks. How do you respond going forward? Do you want to say 10-2 easy schedule? Do you want to say, hey, we can line ourselves up against the Ducks later in the season? That's way looking down the future. In the meantime, got to look inwardly, think about the Bruins, what can happen going forward. In the meantime, UCLA's got to think about, all right, Oregon came to play and they beat them down. What's coming next? They got Stanford, but what comes together as a team? That will be the true unifying factor for the Ducks. Well, they're flying high, flying high, undefeated through the rest for now in Pac-12 play, looking to be that one seed, the host team in that Pac-12 title game out in Vegas, the one team, which in a neutral site doesn't really make all the difference, and despite what uniform you wear, but wow, that was quite the game and not in UCLA's favor. In the meantime, this has been a little quick reaction for Locked On UCLA. The Bruins falling for the first time this season, 45-30. Full reaction on Monday, full reaction podcast for the whole details. We kind of decipher what were the little things that went wrong. This is kind of a quick churning reaction analysis about this one. It doesn't feel good. it just does not taste good. It feels bad. It is what it is. And the defining moment of the 2022 season for UCLA will not be the first 6 or so games. It will not be this game. It'll be the response moving forward to prove, hey, are they a team to be messed with still in the Pac-12 for their final 2 years and build for the Big Ten? Or is this going to be a decline in the end of the Chip Kelly era, potentially, even though we just got that extension, and find themselves looking for a new head man in a couple years? There's so many different things, which ways it could go, and it's up to the Bruins to decide how the coaches, game plan of the players play, and how it goes. And that's the only true answer to that, and we'll find out. Reaction Monday, we'll build for Stanford next week and get excited for more UCLA football. Despite dejectedly how the game went, get your hands up, Bruins fans. Still got an A clap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Go Bruins. Still, even after today. Go Bruins. We'll talk to you next time.